Welcome back to my Rain World PowerPoint presentation. If you're new to my channel, my name is Koi, the Knight of Iron. I'm currently playing through Rain World and its DLC, and this game isn't very upfront with its lore, it would seem, as I am so deep into it. However, I do enjoy trying to piece together the sort of thoughts, ideas, and theories that I come up with as I'm playing. I started with Survivor. I did a Hunter attempt next, I think. Then I did Monk. Then I did another Hunter attempt. Both of those failed. I did Gourmand next. And now most recently, I've done Artificer. Roughly after each of my playthroughs so far, in which at least I successfully completed, I've been just making a little intermittent lore video to help update everyone where I'm at and also sort of react to the end of whatever game it is that I've just played. Whichever slug cat I've just finished, which in this case is Artificer. Without further ado, we shall get into my Artificer update, which is fascinating because the first thing I want to talk about is the areas, and by extension, the timeline, I guess. This is taken from my Survivor playthrough. This is taken from my Artificer playthrough, and it's very obvious the difference between them. In Artificer, the water is blue. In Survivor, it's very green. In Artificer, there's blue infection draping everywhere. In Survivor, it's either gone or is sort of gray and garbaged out. In Artificer, there are a bunch of blue plants in the background there. See little blue things going up? And the symbols up top are blue as well, which match the blue of the blue infection. In Artificer, it's all red. Now, what does this mean? I don't know, but I think the clearest example that I'm going to make here, at least, is that Artificer is probably earlier, and the garbageness of garbage waste has been something increasing in the overall timeline. The infection that seems to be here seems to have been advancing or at least adapted in color to its local environment. What's also worth noting is actually this pearl right here. When I take it to Five Pebbles, it's the one that Five Pebbles himself wrote, but like back in the early days. So I almost wonder if garbage waste is connected to Five Pebbles in that sort of way. And that connection almost seems reinforced just by the presence of the infection, because the only other area in the game, at least that I know of so far, that really has this infection-like thing is the exterior and Five Pebbles, right? Five Pebbles' whole superstructure, super brain. Now I have more comparisons. I grabbed more. This obviously is Artificer. This is Survivor. You can clearly see the blue here becomes like an orange, the blue symbols become red, the water changes in color, and the infection at the very top right kind of just completely disappears. Another thing I want to mention is this. There are these sticks with lanterns, which I generally use to indicate, or at least subconsciously associate with the scavenger presence, which in this case, this room is supported because it's right before a scavenger room. But in a later iteration of this area, in Survivor, it's a lot more gray, it's a lot more, it just looks a lot older. It also doesn't have the lights there. Another thing I also want to notice, look, there's like a metal plate here, and like metal plates in the background here. And in Survivor, they're gone. So that was notable to me. Another thing that's notable is there's a bit of like bluegrass here, here. That's all cool and all. But in later garbage waste, it's still there. It's just green. It feels like an indication of like a dying scavenger presence here, which would somewhat make sense. I know that Artificer, at least in the ending I got, not a great ending, I don't think, actually. I rejoiced a lot because, well, I was caught up in the ideology. But I'm a better person now and I realize it's not actually a happy ending. But we'll have more on that later. Here we go. Look, even more. I just wanted the comparisons. The comparison's nice. Look, the scavenger markings. I don't know if this is just darker and this is just lighter and that's why it's like this. But it kind of looks like that they've faded over time, right? The blue and white in the back. You see that, again, every instance of blue vegetation is replaced with either green or red. The blue symbols are replaced with red, at least. It's all just more worn down. So Artificer definitely is, and I think I would place it before Gourmand too as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Five Pebbles a little. What's interesting is that the blue guy who has shown me the way this entire time, right, an Artificer, as opposed to yellow guy in the other playthrough. Also, I should say, I just noticed this now, just while talking, but there can be multiple instances, there's like multiple instances of blue guy, but there's only ever one yellow guy. And my idea was that maybe yellow guy is related to looks to the moon somehow. Like it sort of looks to the moon's overseer, I guess. Well, maybe blue guy is Five Pebbles and Five Pebbles is healthy. So maybe that's why he has more. Anyways, point is, apparently they spy on me. And in this case, Blue Guy is spying on me. And in this case, for the first time, Five Pebbles isn't caught by surprise when I show up here. He basically tells me he's been incessantly overformed of my, whereabouts. Which again, the only difference is I have a citizen drone, which I think might have played a part. But also, Blue Guy was the one, looking at me instead of the yellow guy. And the reason I know he's not taken by surprise is because it's also, this is the only Slugcat I've played so far where the entire area still remains lit up orange, which is kind of cool. I kind of like it this way. But in the others, he kind of turns off the orange, kind of stops his work and be like, oh, hey, look, a Slugcat's here. This time he's a lot more like, I've been expecting you. I mean, he literally says, I suppose it was only a matter of time. Anyway, so the first thing he does here is he syncs my citizen ID drone, which in his dialogue, he seems to include as part of his, quote, duty as an iterator, which is like, not much, but the smallest tidbit of lore of like, what does an iterator do besides like, obviously their purpose, search for global ascension. Clearly there was more, because obviously there was like a symbiotic relationship between the iterator and the civilization that created him, his creators. And now that they're gone, which kind of, like, the more I look into it and think about it, the creators kind of just left everybody. They kind of just figured out like their own way to be like, get off to heaven, find their own happy ending. And they're like, hey, let's all as a species just go. Leave everyone else behind. But yeah, anyway, somehow resyncing my device he considers part of his duty as an iterator. And he also tells me I, as a citizen, have a responsibility to tend to this superstructure, which gives us another look into this symbiotic relationship he might have had with the creators, with his own citizens, because it would seem that their upkeep of this place kept Five Pebbles functioning. Now, I don't know why you would need shipments of ash in order for that to happen, but apparently that's what an industrial complex was for. The pearl that I find here tells me about that. Now, notably, why even ash? Like, I've said this before as well, but like, whenever there's rain, I'm like, where's the rain coming from? Why is there so much rain? Why is it so big? And why is it so consistent? And I know there are probably answers to those questions. But on the other hand, I also kind of want to think about, where is this ash coming from? Why do we need shipments of ash? What are we burning? Is there burning that's going on? Is the burning going on here in the industrial complex? Living organisms? Dead organisms? Wood? Trees? Why do we need ash? Why is ash a resource? Because I don't know if it sounds good for a society to have like an incentive to value ash of all things. Now, the alternative is this world they live in is a world of ash. It's got ash everywhere. And so maybe they're not creating ash. They're just using ash that exists somewhere already. But then on the other side, apparently it comes from the industrial complex. An industrial complex sounds like there's a lot of machinery here, which by the way, there is. And what else are you going to be doing here except like, I don't know, I guess maybe just shipping? They're packaging ash? If not creating it. There are clearly mysteries here that I have yet to crack, but this is kind of my theories on this. All right, next I want to talk about this. Kind of just the entire area, really, Metropolis. I think this actually screenshot is taken from going like really, really extra high up. I only did after the ending because I killed the guy too fast. I had to keep going on that one. But as we can see here, huge city. There are gotta be, like, if we assume at minimum, there's like 2 people per floor for each of these cities or whatever, because there's at very least 2 windows. I imagine there's more. There's tens of thousands of these creators. It was a whole ass species which created Five Pebbles. It's huge. I didn't even know the inside of the superstructure is that big. And now one thing I made a note of but was a little incorrect about because I accidentally said astrology instead of astronomy. What I was talking about was the actual literal astronomy of this world. Are there 7 red suns? There's at least 1 moon. But what I want to bring attention to about this is this. Oh, wait. I'm just going to not draw that, actually. This is a satellite dish. Like, if I'm to make comparisons between, like, the world I know and this is a satellite dish. It is absolutely shaped like one. And what does a satellite dish do? Well, it's a dish to receive signals from space, from satellites in space. Was this civilization advanced enough? Were they actually spacefaring? Now, here's the thing. I would not be that surprised that they are. I'm just kind of looking for literal in-game confirmation of sorts. Because, I mean, honestly, this feels like an alien planet to the Earth that I know. And I mean, life is kind of just dying off here, I would think. So maybe it's possible that it started elsewhere. Maybe they came here. Maybe they're the aliens. And maybe at that point, like maybe why did they come here? Well, maybe there's a way to escape life and go to freaking heaven for some reason at this planet's core. I mean, I don't think so. Like, it's so complicated because a lot of this is sci-fi until we get to the point where it's like, yeah, but if you just go down enough and you're in tune with the world enough, you've got a high enough karma, then you kind of just enter the golden void where you swim and there are these ginormous bacterium between the fabric of reality and they wave hello as you go past and you're in heaven. Hooray. Anyways, enough about this. Point is, like, civilization could be could have been pretty advanced, but we're long past that because they all freaking left us. Okay, next slide. Oh gosh, it's still Metropolis. Well, it's a pretty fascinating place to look at anyway. I think what I wanted to say on this slide is it's actually a pretty great example of, look, this symbol. I mean, it's pretty clear by now at that point that I think the Scavengers wrote that symbol. The Scavengers know this symbol language somehow. Maybe they picked up on it. Maybe they're the creators of it. I kind of doubt that, actually. Actually, I 100% doubt that. There's symbols from everywhere and everywhere. They're literally symbols from everywhere around the world around us. So I'm like, why did they figure out what this means? I mean, to be fair, I'm also figuring out what all the symbols mean, or not all of them, but like some of them passively over time. The one I'm most proud of is the symbol for an echo, because I kind of just picked that up on, oh, hey, I only see that symbol when there's an echo. So it's reasonable that maybe they're like, hey, we could tell people. Oh, also, gosh, would you believe me if I told you that it wasn't until I was making a recent edit I did about scavengers, which I think this video is going to come out after that, so you'll know the one I'm talking about. It wasn't until I was scrubbing through my old playthrough footage when I actually noticed that there was actually an area name that popped up when I very first met, like, the scavengers in their very first skull with all those pearls. There's an area name, and I think this is the only place I've ever seen that specific area name show up, but it told me what it was. It says Scavenger Toll, and that makes so much sense. I have already figured out it was kind of like a toll. They want me to give them something in order to pass. I figured that out easy enough. I just never realized the game literally tells you it's a toll. And so the theory I wanted to point out here is, you know, maybe this is them saying, like, hey, this is speaking a language maybe other people can understand, but it's a toll. Give us money, we'll let you pass. Which kind of jerks of them. I'm not really a fan of it, but what can I do? All right, enough of this. Boring scavengers. I've already killed your leader. We don't need to focus on you guys anymore. We're moving on to the citizens. We finally have, I mean, I say finally, but as you see from the right here, we already had. But I have, like, more and further and several different examples of what they look like. And can I just say, like, I'm gonna verbalize for this for the first time, but, like, look, this is like a tube thingy that is connected from this citizen's mask, presumably to somewhere else on his body. This guy on this mural over here has, like, 4 of them. Okay, I don't know how to get rid of what I just drew, but you get the point. Kind of all of them just have that. And one cool thing I thought about that is, if I just go all the way back here, is it's kind of exactly like, you know, whatever this is that Pebbles has. It just feels like a little recognizable bit of technology, you know what I mean? To just be plugging things in from from things to other things. It's kind of cool. It's kind of, it's like, oh, hey, that's like a citizen thing. They also loved wearing masks here, which I suspect probably some kind of tech for them, you know what I mean? We also got the citizen ID drone here. Obviously, those were important. They were also, like, definitely humanoid. I don't know how, like, big they were. I don't know if I can even tell that yet. It'd be kind of weird if they were, like, way bigger than me. Actually, wait, I'm an idiot. I'm standing right in front of a size comparison. Okay, so never mind. I know about how big they were. All right, moving on, next mural. Oh my goodness, yes. We found these 2 murals within Metropolis. I mean, specifically the House of Braids, 12th pillar, whatever. Now, the one on the right, I for sure thought there was going to be a symbol somewhere, and there might be, like, hidden on it. I see this kind of, like, purple stuff in the background around it. But on the left, and I have to say, the colors really pop out when you take it at night. But on the left, we obviously have a scholar reading from what looks like a scroll. So I guess they had scroll technology. As you can clearly see, they still got tubes up the wazoo. I mean, I guess it confirms they also used spears. It'd be kind of cool if, like, the actual spears that we find were, like, used by them, as opposed to just the straight lines. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks like they also really liked their, the bandages. They liked wearing clothes, which is nice. I don't know. I just like looking at them. and looking about them. Okay, anyways, here's the next part. And now these I am like really disappointed to say. I don't know what to make of it. I can recognize like bits and bobs. I know this, for example, is the Metropolis symbol. I know that these three symbols down here are literally just Wanderer, Chieftain, and that's explicitly Chieftain and Wanderer. Now, I don't know what Chieftain means in the context outside of Scavengers. So if this is actually meant to be like communicated to me within the context of Scavengers, that's kind of crazy. We've also got this symbol, which like has this whole thing going on, right? And it has it over top the bottom karma, which notably, if I draw real quick, like the food karma on top of the bottom karma, this means like predator or whatever, which makes sense because it's like food kill, like kill food, they kill you for food. So I don't know what this could mean, but this right here kind of looks like it's the survivor symbol. This right here literally looks like a picture of the gravity machines across 5 Pebbles and I guess Metropolis. The only thing I can make sense out of this picture is there's all these like orange little circles everywhere. And that kind of reminds me of like 5 Pebbles orange pearls that are floating everywhere, but I kind of don't really know if that's the right connection to be making there. I will also say, I think I was kind of right in saying this is a news broadcast. And I also have to remember all of this, like as an entirety, is straight up probably just belonging to the civilization that came before that is like so irrelevant to the game now because they're all just gone. You know what I mean? Like I said, one of them looked like a news report. And this one, to be honest, just looks like a company logo. This one just looks like someone's art. It's like maybe it was as simple as that. That's what it was, you know? And maybe this is someone's like shoe brand, you know? Especially because the blue guy who's showing me this is from 5 Pebbles. Now, I will say I've received visions and I actually have a document where I've kept pictures of them as well, and I've made some connections sometimes, I guess. I still look at those from time to time. But the ones yellow guy gave me were always like, they flashed really, really fast from each other. These ones were a lot more steady and stable. And I almost wonder if it's like, is that supposed to be an indication between them? Looks at the Moon herself has memory issues. And so it's like, maybe that extends to Looks to the Moon's little blue guy or yellow guy's visions. Whereas 5 Pebbles, little blue guy, overseer person, whatever you want to call it, ends up remembering a lot more of the past. And maybe that's what like explains the kinds of stuff we get to see here. And now you may have noticed I haven't talked about like the most interesting and obvious of them all, which is that one, because that's just straight up an iterator, an either like white one or a blue one, but wearing orange, which Looks to the Moon doesn't, but 5 Pebbles does. But 5 Pebbles is pink, and this is assuredly not pink. And it's also clear that looks like they're working in an orange environment, which, as I explained earlier, is what 5 Pebbles is working in when we get in to see him, and what he likes working in, I guess. He's also got like the symbols all around him, you know? It's almost like this might be an iterator, but it could be an iterator I haven't seen yet, or like an iterator of the past. We know their names. For all I know, this could be Sliver of Straw. This could be whoever 7 Red Suns is. I think those are the only 2 I know by name, if I remember correctly, but there are definitely others. And also no idea what this little blue thing is that they're looking at, but whatever, we're gonna erase all that and simply move on to the next one because I think I've theorized enough on that. Oh my gosh, yes, look at this. I don't have any conclusions for this. That's usually how these lore videos go. I don't have conclusions, but this is absolutely, most assuredly, like an iterator workplace, for lack of better words. I also should say that it looks like this, like, lining at the end. That's the exact lining that 5 Pebbles has that allows 5 Pebbles to move around. So I said in my playthrough that because I could like walk past, I'm like, oh, there's no walls, an iterator couldn't work here. But no, I think this is supposed to be like implied that it's a background here and that I'm walking in front of it. And interestingly, there's room for like 2 iterators here. Now I haven't seen 5 Pebbles move, or I mean, here's the thing as well is, I don't think an iterator is, like, I think this is kind of self-evident, but it's like, I don't think an iterator is literally like, hold on. Okay, there we go. I don't think an iterator is this. Clearly what defines like 5 Pebbles' self includes a lot of the area around him. And based off of Looks to the Moon, probably these literal things, which kind of make these things really important if it's like, it's kind of like what they are, you know what I mean? It's like, are these 5 Pebbles? Kind of. But there are so many that like any individual doesn't work. Like 5 Pebbles is like a system of things, which does mean that like maybe there's a system of things in Metropolis that could have had like I was going to say like an iteration of itself, but that would get confused with the word iterator. But like basically that, like maybe there's an iterator that was here from Metropolis and this is where they would have worked. Or maybe it's just 5 Pebbles still, which is probably likely. And maybe 5 Pebbles just had a need to work here sometimes. Anyways, enough of the area stuff. Let's get into Artificer herself. So I encountered this. And again, I encountered this after I already beat the game, which I beat the game. I killed the thing. I kind of had a vendetta against the Scavengers for quite a long time after they never gave me Chieftain. And so it's kind of nice that it got to culminate in me killing the Chieftain and taking its mask. I also remember thinking of what to title my penultimate episode of Artificer, where I think the coolest thing I found was I felt like I was on top of the world, on top of like this big dome or whatever that I had found with blue writing everywhere. But then I set that to schedule to release, and then like actually after I beat the game and I realized, oh wait, there's a place literally called On Top of the World, or I forget the exact name, but it's literally on top of the world and it's a much higher. To avoid confusion, I snuck in a sneaky little almost on top of the world, which was also true because next episode I actually got here. Now that said, I kind of want to read this Echo's dialogue. You who have encountered a consequence much like my own, gripped by raw emotions whose chains bind you, destined to this land. Shortcomings of the past haunt one and all like whispering phantoms. An unrewarding battle awaits, culminating in a path of no return. A perpetuity of struggles begetting more of the same. We are a pair who have forfeited everything. Now, I will have to say, it literally says the line, an unrewarding battle awaits, culminating in a path of no return. I feel like that's actually, it's ironic because I met this after I've killed the Scavenger Chieftain. But it kind of sounds like if I was approaching, if I found this guy from the other direction, it kind of sounds like he'd be warning me of the unrewarding battle that awaits, culminating in a path of no return, aka the ending of the game. I'm actually kind of curious if I hadn't already beat the thing is, I think my path of no return is also implying that my karma cannot be raised now. Because after meeting this Echo, usually, even when my karma was only one, I only had 1 karma. I met an Echo and it was able to raise it. But this time, I've already beat the game, and it's sort of like a path of no return moment. So I wonder, like, if I hadn't beat the game by this point, would my karma have gone to 3? You know what I mean? And that also plays into the theory that I have, which I know there's multiple endings to each different sort of Slugcat. And I'm not actually that much of a gamer, but in the games I have played, usually like multiple endings might just mean you do the ending part of the game differently. But I think with this, I've sort of figured out, especially with Gourmand, that I think like an alternate ending genuinely might just be Ascension for Slugcats that, you know, they can end without ascending. Or maybe there are others for, different for others. Because Gourmand, I feel like I genuinely feel like I could just go back into Gourmand. I have to find one more Echo as Gourmand, and I could go and get Ascension. I don't think there's a path of no return on Gourmand, but it does seem like there is with Artificer. So I've kind of like locked my playthrough out of ascending as Artificer, which kind of seems like a nice ending, but also I don't think it would be because I don't think my kids, like the shortcomings of the past that haunt me, like whispering phantoms, I don't think that's that. But again, maybe, I feel like for me playing Artificer, I'm happy with the ending I got, obviously, and how I got it. Because you know what? I'm going to learn a lesson from it. And you know what? I kind of did learn a lesson from it in my last Hunter playthrough. It's like when I focus all my time and energy and effort on killing and vengeance, it's not productive, I need healing, not murder. Okay, one last thing I want to say on the screen. I've encountered a consequence much like their own, gripped by raw emotions whose chains bind you, destined to this land. I mean, maybe, I guess that does play into, like, the Echoes are kind of, like, in a weird situation in which they're, like, I feel like they're supposed to have ascended, but they're kind of stuck here. At least I think that's the impression I got from some of the other Echoes, One of them in, like, Chimney Canopy wondering, like, what still kept them there, Was it memories of the place that they left behind or something? So maybe this one couldn't ascend because they were gripped by raw emotions whose chains bind you, destined to this land. So maybe it's just, maybe it's not like super personal. Maybe they're just saying like, I've become like an Echo now, Anyways, we've got this. I've got really nothing else left to say about this except, holy cow, Scavengers. They look like they're actually furry, which I wouldn't have expected. I should also say, I really want to mention, my drone and its drone are very different. So like citizen-wise, I'm like, drones might have been personalized to like each citizen, which then begs me to wonder like, I wonder who's had these drones before me, you know? And especially like who had my drone to like have had it all the way in garbage wastes, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, this is the ending I got, and it's not satisfactory because I mean, I think the more like better implication to take from this here ending or whatever is sort of basically what like the Echo kind of said. It's a struggle that kind of goes on forever that I've done, you know. I've chosen an unsatisfactory ending to take out violence and vengeance upon, you know, the past, which isn't going to heal or change the past, you know. And so I think this kind of thing shows like it kind of shows that. I mean, it's pretty cool. I really like the ending, but I think like story-wise and message-wise, that's kind of what this is supposed to represent. Anyways, that's it. That's my thoughts. Thank you everybody for watching. This is all I had time for. I actually yapped a lot longer than I thought I would. And I'll see you in the next playthrough. Farewell.